Is there a lack of jobs, or are there a lack of people willing to do the work, or are there a lack of well-paying jobs, or is there a lack of people who are willing to go above and beyond in a job anymore? You tell me. But I posted recently on Instagram somebody's message about how they feel like the New Zealand job market is facing a cultural shift. There's a noticeable decline in the willingness of many individuals to go the extra mile, whether that's putting in additional hours, taking initiative, or showing a strong drive to grow professionally. Increasingly, we see people requesting time off without genuine reasons or asking for higher pay without demonstrating the effort or commitment that typically justifies it. This isn't a matter of job scarcity. There are plenty of roles available across industries. The issue seems to be a lack of motivation and resilience. The traditional work ethic, where people push themselves to excel and took pride in contributing beyond the minimum, appears to be fading. It's disheartening to witness high unemployment alongside a surplus of job openings, not because opportunities are lacking, but because many are unwilling to rise to the challenge. Wow, did this spark some comments on Instagram. But what are we seeing to start with? Well, let's go to the data, and unemployment is telling us that it's at 5.3%. Now, we have to remember that we came off of really, really lows of around 3.2%. Now, I've been talking about this with business owners as well, where we went from a really frothy and easy economy, easy to access credit, cheap debt. Same thing for people going and buying properties, easy to access credit, easy to bid up the price of a home, lower interest rates, and same thing in business. People were, selling 46 vanilla oud candles via e-commerce, going, holy shit, this is easy, to now, whoa, it is hard to shake a dollar out of somebody's pocket. So the economy's completely changed, and I think unemployment has changed too. And the point that I'm making here is it changes people's point of reference. So when you've got really low unemployment, you do sort of have the power as the employee, and therefore you can ask for a pay rise, you can be asking for more, the employer's got to flex a little bit. When unemployment starts to increase, that starts to go away a little bit, but the understanding of the employee may not change in that area. And some will say that's unfair, but it's a bit like when I coach a business owner, I'm like, the economy's changed, we've got to do something different. That's not working anymore, we've got to do this. And you're always adapting. So in business, you learn about this stuff. I was very lucky, but also some people would call this unlucky, but when I studied accounting, business, and economics at school and then university, you sort of learn and get it drilled into you, and probably through my upbringing as well, that you're not that special. And that's not really what we tell people anymore as well. But it's very valuable in an economy to understand that without the emotion, because what you come to realize is that you're replaceable. Now, another way to explain this, and this is harsh, but in an economics textbook or an accounting textbook would talk about a person being a labor unit. And that's what we'd distill their life down into those two words. That person is a labor unit, and they swap their labor for some money every day, and that's what they do. So we need labor units to work in this business. And that can be really confronting when you haven't learnt it from that side, and you are, just like a business might go, we need a machinery unit, we need one digger. Now that we have the digger, we need a labor unit, etc. But when you're being told by, hey, the employer should be looking after you, they should be looking after your mental health, your physical health, your financial health, your bereavement leave, like all these things, you start to probably get a perception that that's what the employer is there to do. But the harsh reality of business is, we have too many labor units, we need to let some of those go now. And so then we see unemployment increasing. But we also create this divide between the expectation of an employer and an employee. Now, put another way, I was kind of taught, mate, if you die, the world will carry on. The business that you work for will carry on. So you're not that fucking important. And it is a brutal, brutal lesson. But if I look back at all of the places where I worked, where I thought that I was somebody and I was really important, they're still all going. They're still all there. They didn't fall over without me. And I think that's a beautiful life lesson to actually grasp, to remove your sense of importance so that you can then go on your individual journey of, shit, I've got to make something of myself and figure out if I'm not that important and if I'm replaceable and if this place could let me go, how am I going to look after myself? And then you go on a different journey. But if you continue to believe that your employer should solve your problems, they should do all of this stuff for you, like the other side of that is, what if the employer goes under and then they're not there anymore? Then whose responsibility is it going to be? So I was very lucky, what I'm trying to say, very lucky early in life to learn about this stuff and realize, shit, okay, I can't just rely on other people all the time because they may not be there. And I made a video about how no one's coming to save you. And it's just like people, I think a lot of people in New Zealand do think someone's there. I was watching a retirement video before. They're asking them, who's going to provide for your retirement? Oh, I'm not sure. Someone will look after me. Who's the someone? Who do we think the someone is? But I think we have a sense in New Zealand that someone is coming, whether it's the government, the employer, there's a scheme. Even now we talk about, KiwiSaver, I've got KiwiSaver. Have we ever run the numbers to see if that'll provide for my retirement? Like most of us wouldn't. We just have this sort of innate trust that things will be okay. But they're not. Like, you may lose a job, you may lose a family member, the business may go under. So you've got to really make yourself valuable, because that's what the marketplace wants. It wants valuable people and skills that can make money. That can solve problems, and then you can make money. So a good way to think about this too is, how is there a 21-year-old kid that's making 5 times as much as somebody who's 40 and been doing something for 20 years? Well, the world doesn't always value experience. It values someone solving problems. So I saw a kid the other day doing e-commerce. He made more in a month than the average Kiwi would make in fucking 5 years of their life. It's doable. But he's figured out how to do that, and so he's having a crack at that. But somebody down here that doesn't want to learn about that, which is fine, it's not for everybody. But to go through life and just expect or think that there aren't other ways and that your employer should solve everything, I think it's going to lead to a lot of resentment. Now, this, going back to the post, I think it led to a lot of different comments, which I'll come to. But remember that we've gone from a very low unemployment to now increasing unemployment that we haven't seen for nearly a decade. But seriously, like a decade, that was when I was quitting my job and going out on my own. Like the country still rolls on. Like, no one cared and no one was saying, hey, be careful, mate, unemployment's high, you sure you want to start a business now? You might not be able to get a job on the other side. I was so focused on my vision, I was just going to make it happen. So be careful letting economic data get in the way of you building the life that you want. But we've gone from low unemployment to higher unemployment. Of course, people are going to feel aggrieved. It used to feel like this. Now it feels like this. This sucks, and I'm going to let people know about it. And one of the main comments on here that got 400 odd likes that I thought would be worth just asking you guys, like, what do you think about this? Is that there's a disconnect. To summarize it for you, I think a disconnect between what people are now getting paid. And I think we didn't index tax rates with inflation. So now people are working as hard, right? Let's say as hard, and receiving less in real terms. So by the time they pay their tax and then go to buy things, whether it's some lettuce or some bloody green onion or a pair of sneakers or your rates, your power, your travel, your insurance, your hot water, everything's more expensive. And so you've got to swap more of your labour unit to get something back in real terms after tax, because we didn't index tax rates with inflation. So inflation became the silent killer, as you will learn about in plenty of other content, that then robs you and takes from you. And I think people are feeling that. So this person was basically explaining about how you've got expensive levels of rent and mortgages and then other things that they need to pay for, and they then don't feel like it's worth working extra to help pay for these things, because they didn't used to, have to do that. So then why would they go and do it? And it had, tons and tons of likes. And I think their exact wording was, I think a big part of what's happening in the economy has changed. Yes, there are jobs out there, but the pay doesn't match the cost of living anymore. People aren't less motivated, they're just being realistic. When rent or a mortgage is $700 to $800 a week in places like Auckland, actually, I think the median rent in Auckland is around $650, and the average job is paying $23 to $26. Again, that's probably not accurate. That's probably minimum wage, but this had hundreds of likes, so people resonate with this. It makes sense to them, right? Because I think the median hourly rate in New Zealand is around $40. So this is really, they're talking about a higher rent and then a lower wage. So probably, so not exactly accurate, but anyway, this is what they're saying and people engage with it. After tax, you're basically working just to survive. There's no buffer, no lifestyle, no security. It's not that people don't want to work hard, it's that the math doesn't add up anymore. Work-life balance matters because the old model of grinding 40 to 50 hours a week used to at least provide a decent quality of life. Now it barely covers the basics. That's the real cultural shift. 420 likes. A lot of people clearly resonate with that. So what do you think? Do you think part of it is because we haven't indexed tax rates and now we're getting less back in real terms for the hard work that we're putting in? And lastly, I've been talking about this since 2020, so this doesn't surprise me. I wrote a blog and recorded a podcast in August 2020. I didn't record the podcast till the next year, but I wrote about it in August 2020 where I was saying money's going to be worth less. We're all going to pay more in forms of tax and inflation. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So, that's what I think has happened to a degree. But, what do you think? But people can clearly relate to this. I just want to remind you that even if that is the case, skills pay the bills, not labour units. That's one thing that I learned through doing my business studies, through studying rich people, studying wealthy people, looking at people who had more. What the fuck are they doing? Why do people have multiple streams of income? What are they doing that I'm not doing? I need to learn this stuff, man, because it doesn't look like anyone's come to save me. It doesn't look like the country's going to teach you it. So why can somebody sell e-commerce units of something and make more than somebody swapping in labour units for an entire year and they can do it in a month? Why can somebody get paid $5,000 to speak and somebody might take a whole month to make $5,000? Why can a gardener charge $250 an hour when I can only swap a unit of my labour per hour for minimum wage or even $30? I was fascinated by going, I need to figure this out. And if you want to have a better life in this country, be careful swapping your time as a labour unit and start looking at what solutions you can solve in the marketplace and how you can become more valuable. If you want some content on this, go and check out the More Money webinar. Go and check out how to make an extra $10,000 in 2025. Go and check out the economy in New Zealand's completely changed and people can't see it. Hundreds, thousands of people have now messaged me being like, shit, penny dropped for me, mate. I made some changes. I'm doing better now. The resources are there. Unfortunately, it's going to be you. It ain't going to be someone, it ain't going to be the government, and it ain't going to be the employer that comes and solve your problems for you. It's a fucking brutal lesson for me to take early on in my life, but my God, has it made my life a bit better, well, a lot better, grasping onto that and making some changes for myself and taking some ownership and responsibility. Not saying everyone can do it, I get that, but not everybody can lean back and go, oh, well, I'm not going to make any effort, I'm not going to go above and beyond. Who's going to pay for the nurses? Who's going to pay for the doctors, etc.? I think we need more people pushing for more, challenging for more, starting businesses, growing, earning more, paying more tax. That's how we're going to pay for the nurses, the roads, the doctors, etc. It ain't going to be Luke going, oh, fuck this, I give up, it's all too hard now. That ain't going to do it. So, we're quick to defend the doctors, the nurses, the roads, etc. We've got to pay for them. But how are we going to do that? It's going to take the people that go above and beyond.